Hello and welcome to everyone who is watching this in the future. We are actually... I can't even be serious.
I know.
This is in place of the Melanin Chat because we're off for Thanksgiving, as we have been telling you guys. So
Yeah.
we didn't want the channel to be empty, so hey, we did this in advance. So let me actually try to get the intro right. Hello and welcome to everyone who is watching the WrittenNMelanin channel. Wherever this day may have found you, we are so glad that you are here. My name is Chelsea, better known as C.M. Lockhart, and I'm here with the wonderful Case Kuzino. And as always, we are here to bring some melanin to your pages. And today, because we are not doing the Melanin Chat live, we decided to go ahead and do a book discussion of one of the books that we've read recently, which is Hide and Seeker by Daka Hermon. And we kind of stumbled across this book, and I was like, ooh, I think I like it. And then I was like, Case, you want to read it? And she's like, yeah! So, here we are. If you follow us on the channel, then you know that we have actually brought up this book before in the past. So, as a refresher, the summary for this book reads, I went up the hill was muddy, stomped my toe and made it bloody. Should I wash it? Justin knows that something is wrong with his best friend. Z went missing for a year, and when he came back, he was different. Nobody knows what happened to him. At Z's welcome home party, Justin and the neighborhood crew play hide and seek, but it goes wrong. Very wrong. One by one, everyone who plays the game disappears, pulled into a world of nightmares come to life. Justin and his friends realize this horrible place is where Z had been trapped. All they can do now is hide from the seeker. So, that is the summary for this book. In case you didn't pick up on it, this is actually a middle grade horror. Think R.L. Stine Goosebumps in that vein. And so it's creepy, it's chilling, it's kind of scary, but it is not like adult horror that'll make you like, I don't know, hide under your covers and hope that nobody gets you. I don't know. I don't know how scary you guys are.
Yeah. It's very like I think a really good way to describe it would be like intro to horror for so like if you're not super into horror, this is great. If you're young and you're not like ready to be totally scared out of your pants, this is great, but it's still creepy and chilling. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it for that.
I really enjoyed it because, again, if you guys know the channel, if you know me, to know me is to know that I don't do horror. That is not my thing. That is not my genre. I don't enjoy being scared. Being scared for fun confuses me. I don't get it. However, I'm trying to be a big girl, read outside of what I normally read most of the time, and Hide and Seeker is like, I'll call it my gateway horror book.
Good way to describe it. Yeah, open up the doors for you.
Yeah, so like our generation had R.L. Stine. I don't know if he's still writing books. I know he's old. And I know Goosebumps is kind of an old series at this point. I think it's kind of withstood the test of time, but also I'm not sure because I haven't read it since I was like 9, 10, 11, around that age. That being said, I feel like this is a really good intro for a newer generation into horror. Or if you're like me, you're an adult and you don't really like horror, you need something light.
Right.
So, that being said, we like the book. I think it's fair to say that.
Totally.
We have 2 concurrent viewers and I don't know where they're coming from. I'm confused. This is private. Okay, whatever. I don't care.
Hope you're enjoying. Hit that like button.
Yeah, if you're watching, hit the like button, okay? Like,
subscribe? I don't know. 2 things for you to do there. Yeah, very much enjoyed this book. I was telling Chelsea that I wish I had had it as a younger person because it was just like right up my alley. It's it's just so good. It was so fun. It's a quick read. I mean, it's for middle grade, so it's not going to be like your 900-page book, but it's not quick just because of the the style requirements for that age group. It's quick because like you're just engaged in the story, which I really liked.
It is definitely what I would consider a page turner. Like, you're gonna get in and you're gonna be like, I want to know what happens next. I need to know what happens next.
Right.
So that being said, I feel like we can kind of like keep talking around the book and just tell you that we like it. It was really good. So to be a little bit more specific, this is middle grade, and when we've been saying that, what that means is the age range that it's targeting is like 8 to 12. That is the target age range for this book, and the characters are 11, I want to say, in this book.
Yes.
So
they're young, but they're not so old that they're not going to play hide and seek. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're on the cusp of it. Like,
yeah,
they're not playing it every day at this point. Like, ooh, we're all together. Let's play hide and seek. They're more like, we don't know what else to do. So, I mean, like, we could always just, like, go back to this game, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that being said, what I really liked about this book, and obviously why we're talking about it on the channel, is Daka Hermon is a Black author, and you know we're all about supporting Black authors on this channel. But as you can tell from the cover, most of the characters in this book are also characters of color. So Justin is, he's a Black kid with dreads, or locks rather. Nia, I think, is also African American. There's Lyric, there is Z, Quincy, Carla, Shay. That's kind of like the main crew that you're reading about. Of those, I want to say, and I'm not 100% sure because I only really know about Justin, Nia, Lyric, and Z. They were made perfectly clear, but I'm pretty sure of all of those, Lyric is the only one who is not Black in the story.
That's the way that's what I read. Yeah, I mean, read into it as well. Yeah.
So, that being said, do want to let you guys know that this discussion is going to have light spoilers. So we are going to be talking about the book, but we're not going to tell you the ending or anything that would take away the joy of reading it for the first time. So if you don't want any spoilers at all, then that is your warning to dip out, do something different. We appreciate you for being here. Like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if that's what you're into. Everybody else, yeah, if you're staying, we appreciate you. Let's talk about it. First things first, things that we liked about the book. We keep saying that we did like it, and that's like an overall feeling.
Right.
For me, one of the things that I really loved was I loved Justin's character, because Justin is, like I said, he's an 11-year-old boy, and a lot of times when you get Black boys in literature or fiction in any format, they have to be tough, hard, and they don't show their emotions. They don't deal with things. They just take it in stride, right? They're not allowed to be, I'll say, vulnerable, right? And what I loved about this book is it's told from Justin's perspective, and he's dealing with a lot. Like, he literally just lost his mom. He lost his best friend. He is, dependent on his sister. He can tell that she is going through a lot, trying to take care of them. And he is just like kind of an emotional wreck, right?
Right.
And I love that this book did not shy away from it and try to make it like, oh, he is just okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you feel about that?
I love that aspect. I also, just to kind of jump onto what you're saying, I really also appreciated the way that Daka Hermon shows how trauma affects an entire community. Like, it wasn't just Z's family that lost Z, the friend who went missing for a year. It was Z's friends, it was their neighbors, and Z missed out on being there for Justin when Justin's mom died. It was like all these things that connected all of them, and then they go through this, I'm saying adventure, but it was more like like a terror. They go through this terror all together, so like, something else that I liked is like they all, even though like some people made mistakes and they might fight, they stuck together. Like, I love that kind of like Goonies level of friendship and support of one another. It shows that like you can have your quarrels, you can have your misunderstandings, you can go through horrible things together and like still stay strong. I love that. Was probably one of my favorite things. Like, I really wanted and want more books like that, where it's, a group of Black kids, or interracial kids staying friends and fighting side by side. I think that was so cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
I like kind of like going off of what you just said.
We're like,
I really enjoy the fact that they knew each other so well. Like their friendship wasn't forced. It wasn't just like they met each other. Like no, they live in the same neighborhood. They go to school together. They know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses. And even the kids who aren't in the core group, because like they have like a core group of friends, but then they have other kids that they know who also they know really well, right? So like Justin, Nia, Lyric, and Z, those are like the core kids. Those are the 4 best friends and who are kind of mostly affected when Z goes missing, right? Because they're similar to like the what is it, the Fantastic Four, I think is what they're referred to or something. Like they have a really like a cute nickname, and they're the kids. They're like they're always at each other's house. Their parents know. Like Z and Justin are more like brothers than just friends, and so it's just one of those things where they're tight. But also like Quincy, Carla, Shay, those are the other kids that they know and they hang around, and they know them really well too. A really good example of this is Nia, right? She is the girl who is super smart, but she sucks at school. And I thought that was a really nice detail, because so often I feel like in any story, right, by any author, when you have the smart girl, she's got to be book smart, and she has to be like really, I'm gonna say like very, very Hermione-like, right?
Flawless to an extent.
Yeah, she knows everything about everything, and she's kind of like bossy and tells everybody what to do, and everybody just kind of looks at her like, oh, of course she knows, right? And she's like the perfect little daughter, right? Nia is not that. Nia's not very good at school. She's like, I don't really see a point in learning about things that I am not interested in. Like I know things and I'm smart and I like to read, but like regular school does not appeal to me. I don't get it. And so
I really loved that too. I'm glad that you picked up on that as well, because I mean that has been, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, Chelsea, but I just think it's such a, I've seen like working with kids, and you work with kids, you see that a lot. Like they're so smart, but school is just not for them, you know, or like they just don't derive any pleasure from it. Maybe they'll love college because you can be more like specific, but they struggle in the classroom, but there still doesn't like define how intelligent they are. So that was so cool. And like, you're right, you don't see that very often with stories. It's very like, it's a smart girl and she's great at everything and blah, blah, blah.
Right. And so I just love that all of them had multiple layers to them. And I feel like that's kind of something that you don't see very often, that I wish authors would put in more often. The other thing that I really enjoyed about Nia's character specifically is that you can tell that her and Justin are close, but it's not like a romantic type of thing. And I enjoyed that because I'm like, this is middle grade. They're like literally 11 and like they're on the cusp of puberty, right? But it's not like Justin has this huge crush on Nia and he's not telling her about it, or vice versa. Like they're literally just friends that grew up together and they know each other really well. And it's the same with everybody, right? Like Nia's the only girl of the group outside of there's Carla and Shay, but they're a little bit different, and I guess we'll talk about them in a minute. But it's not like anybody's like, ooh, I've got this burning crush on you. And I like that because Quincy does have a crush, but it's on somebody else, right? And I like that aspect of it, because when you have a core group like this with one girl, usually somebody is in love with her, right? Or you have, they like each other or whatever. You have that weird element to it. I like that it wasn't there. It was refreshing, I'll say.
Like that as well. They felt like the kind of friendships you have as a kid, you know, people that you care for and you've seen a lot with them, and it's more like a family. Yeah, and they felt like kids. Like this middle grade book, they really felt like kids. They didn't feel like they were, you know, teenagers, or it didn't feel like they should have been aged up, and they didn't feel too babyish either, which I feel like with some middle grade is really annoying, I'll say. Yes. Because you'll read it and you're like, okay, but these kids are supposed to be like 12, like 11, 12. If they had literally been like,
hey, Dustin, do you want to come out and play with me today? I would have been like, what are they, 5, 6?
Like,
maybe
what's
7?
the age range here?
What's the
Hey, I
age
wonder.
range?
You can definitely tell she's got a good grasp on how kids that age act. I think
Yeah.
that is a struggle for lots of authors. I noticed that too with like young adult. They'll have like 15-year-olds doing things like 25-year-olds do, and I'm like, this doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
This is not how 15-year-olds act.
Right? I also really liked the freedom that the kids had, but also the rules, right?
Yeah.
So like,
made sense.
It made sense. Like during the day, yeah, they can go get their bikes and they can go riding or whatever, and it's not a big deal as long as they're together. But
Right.
they all were like, hey, it's getting dark, we need to go back, right? They all knew, and it wasn't a thing of like, I'm going to stay at your house or we have to be together all the time. Like, yeah, no, we're together during the day and then we go our separate ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I also feel like is really important. But let's move on, right? Because
There's so much to talk about.
there's so much.
So much. So good.
Do you want to go next? Because you're not going to run my mouth if you let me.
I got more things. Okay, here's the bad thing about us, Chelsea. We usually like and dislike all the same things. We have a little bit of a hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really liked the monster.
Yes.
I love this concept. I love the idea of these kids being pulled into like another realm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that very often. Usually it's something under your bed or it stalks you around the neighborhood, and you saw that kind of like idea of safety. Like my mom's in the next room or my dad's in the next room, but in this, like they had to rely on me.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to do it right, and they had to, try not to go into spoiler territory and things like that. But this is from the back of the book. They go to the world.
Yeah, the nowhere is what it's
to
called.
the nowhere. And this monster was so chilling. That was a big plus for me. It felt like a boogeyman in the best sense of the word, So that to me was one of the strong points of this. It wasn't, and it didn't feel like some big bad like evil king like with this big like. Not that I don't like that, but I think for this story it worked better if it was some like otherworldly just creature. This is just what it does. And it wasn't trying to take over their world. It's just.
I mean, technically it was,
Yeah.
but what I liked about this monster is that there are rules to it, and there is rhyme and reason to it. So,
Absolutely.
And I like that. What I think for me, what made it scary was that it is the type of monster that it was summoned, right? In the most, and like I said, there are rules. So, this isn't spoilery. Like, I mean, it's in the book, but it's not spoilery. It's just the way that it works, right? So the villain in this book, the monster, is the Seeker, and basically one of the things that they have to figure out is why are they getting marked, and they figure out that the Seeker comes when you break a rule of hide and seek, and the fact that there are rules, like the Seeker doesn't show up every time hide and seek is played, and he doesn't take kids every time hide and seek is played. They take it. Right. He takes the kids who break the rules of hide and seek, and to me that was scarier because like everybody knows like sometimes you break the rules because it makes the game fun and it's not intentional. But I have 100% played games where little side note backstory about me. If you know me and you've been on the channel, you know that I am from the country. My parents had a lot of land, so like when all of us kids got together, we had a very large area of just like open flat land, right? It's not great for hide and seek, especially if the rules say that you have to stay outside, right? There's nowhere to hide. So a lot of times our games would start as hide and seek, but then they would devolve into like a game of tag or a freeze tag, and it wasn't. And it's like it wasn't even like we were thinking about it, right? So like the entire time I'm reading the book, I'm thinking about all the times that I broke the rules of hide and seek, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of terrifying, right? Because anybody could be taken. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Any age can be taken.
Yeah, that was terrifying. I mean, like you said, when you're playing games, everyone wants to kind of cheat a little bit, so it's. That's why it got me. Oh, everybody does this.
Everybody does it, and then it's also the fact that how do I put it? Even, it's like, I don't know, like you can't, like the monster under the bed, right? That's under your bed, not my bed, right? And like you said, there's the comfort and the security of knowing someone's in the next room. I don't have to sleep in this bed. I can, I can go somewhere else. I can sleep on the couch or whatever. If the house is haunted, that's not my house. That's not my problem, right? This monster is everywhere, but it's also nowhere. And like you said, when you get taken and you go to the nowhere, you're missing. Like, nobody knows. And to me, that is terrifying, because it's like when you're a kid, right, and you think about being kidnapped, you know that your parents are going to look for you, right? You know that you're going to be somewhere that they can find you, right? Because we've seen Taken. That man hunted his daughter down, okay?
But he had a specific set of skills.
He did, but, there's always that, like, okay, someone's going to be looking for me. But then when you find out about this, it's like, yeah, no, they're not. They're going to look for you, but they're never going to find you because you're not even in the realm. And I think what makes it so bad is that in the nowhere, you're just outside of their range. So like, you're still in the same place. Like, you are still able to see your family and things, but they can't see you, hear you, interact with you. You essentially become a ghost, right? And it's crazy. It's wild. The book is wild, but I think this what made it really good. So that being said, I feel like something else that we should kind of talk about is the, I guess, how the kids get sucked into all of this. It's kind of mentioned on the back of the book. Basically, they have this friend. His name is Z. He goes missing, and then he shows up a year later, right? And everybody's kind of like, what happened? Because when he comes back, Z is crazy. Right?
He's off.
We're just gonna
put it lightly. He's off.
He's off, like, truly traumatic experience for him, right? And his friends are trying to welcome him back, and they end up playing the game at his welcome party. And that's when things start to go left. I'm not going to spoil the book, right? I want to, but I'm not.
So bad.
So bad.
We want you to read it yourselves. Rest assured that you won't regret it.
For sure. But things go left, and I love the ingenuity that the kids have. And what I also loved is that it wasn't the core group really that figured it out. It was
the offshoots.
It was the offshoots, right?
Yeah.
Because you have Quincy and Carla, and they're like a pair. They're twins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they start disappearing, right? From everybody who played the game, everybody who showed up to the party and played the game, they start disappearing, like, one by one. And I loved how Quincy was prepared, I'll say. I don't want to, again, spoil the book. And we might have to, like, at the 30-minute mark, we might just have to, like, switch over to talking spoilers. I'm not going to ruin it.
Don't ruin it. Some are prepared, some are not.
I loved Quincy's character because I feel like Quincy would have been me.
Good.
Quincy would have been me.
Oh, totally.
Like, if my brother went missing and I knew, like, okay, he needs X, Y, and Z. Oh, yeah, like, I'm carrying it around with me. It's not leaving my sight, my possession, nothing. It is mine at this point. And I just loved Quincy's character so much. Like, I think Nia and Quincy were my favorite characters in the entire story.
I actually really did like Justin. I liked our main character. I
did like Justin.
He's sweet. He's loyal. He's going through it, but he still cares about his friends, but primarily Z. And I enjoyed. I was able to root for him as well as all the other kids.
Yeah,
that was a nice change. I kind of get tired of, you have main characters who are. They just make all the wrong choices because of plot, or they're
can we talk about that?
Jerks. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Justin, kind of like what you said. I feel like Justin didn't make a wrong choice. I feel like
I know.
I miss books where the plot happens to the character versus the character happens to the plot. And the plot happens to Justin. It's not because he's out here doing crazy things. It's not out because he's out here making wrong choices, because he's not thinking things through, because he's X, Y, and Z and making bad decisions left and right. Like, can't make a good decision to save his life. It is literally because he is just trying to manage and things just keep going left for him. And it's kind of out of his control in the sense of there's no way to have prevented it without knowing the full story. You know?
Yeah.
And I like that, because like you said, in middle grade and YA, so often it's just, why would you do that? Like, that doesn't even, like, even from your mindset, right? Like, with YA, because that's what I read mostly. Like, okay, yeah, you're 15, but, like, truly, to goodness, your brain is developed enough for you to think this through even just a little bit. Just a little bit, you know? At least have some hesitation with it. Don't just jump head first into
something.
Something, right?
Give me a little something.
So, I enjoyed that part about Justin as well. And I guess the honesty of this story really just got to me, because everybody's just trying to make it. Like, everybody has their own problems, their own issues, their own insecurities that they're dealing with, and it kind of carries over into everything. But that being said, I feel like we should also talk about the other two villains. We talked about the Seeker, but we didn't talk about Hyde. So,
love that name, by the way.
I do too. Like, I love all of their names because I feel like it
fits.
I
mean, the Hyde and Seeker with the title.
I didn't even catch that. Yo, I'm dumb. I didn't even catch it.
I just caught it before we started recording. I was like, wait a second.
So yeah, literally, it's Hyde and Seeker. Those are the two villains.
It's spelled differently. It's spelled with like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but
yeah,
still there.
Okay, so we are currently at about 28 minutes into this video. If you're new to the Melanin Chat, then because this is filling the slot, this is going to be about an hour, most likely. Possibly, we might finish sooner than that. But this is your spoiler warning. We've kind of told you all that we can tell you about the book without absolutely spoiling everything for you. And because we believe in fair warnings, everything from this point on is going to be in-depth spoilers. We're going to be talking about the specifics of what happens in the book. We're going to be talking about how they solve them. We're going to be talking about the ending of the book. If you want to get it, which I highly recommend that you do, there's a link in the description box so you can go ahead and grab it, read it, and then just come back to this point. I will put a marker in the video so that you can just like come back to it and just jump to the spoiler part of the video. That being said, if you're still watching, spoilers. We assume that either A, you've read the book, or B, you don't care. Either way, you have been warned. Okay, I feel like that was a good spoiler warning. That being said, because there are other things that I definitely, for sure, want to talk about the book. Okay. Don't know where to start. Going back to the characters, can we talk about Lyric? And can we talk about why I love Nia and Quincy?
Yes. Tell the masses.
Okay, so I loved Lyric because I feel like, again, because just 100% transparency, honestly, we live in America where American means white, and Lyric is the only white friend, and usually in books, you know, it's the black kid who is going through life struggles, and in this one, Lyric is the one where his dad is in jail, and they're struggling and dodging bill collectors and phone calls, and are the lights on, are the lights off, who he eats at his friend's house because they know that he may or may not have a hot meal, things like that. And I know it's just a minor thing, but I just kind of liked that it wasn't Justin. Like, Justin's got his own problems, right? Yeah. Like, we don't know what happened to his dad. His mom, he just lost his mom to cancer. And he is living with his sister, and she is struggling to take care of them, struggling to keep the house, to, you know, keep the lights on, keep them fed. She's working like 2 jobs and going to school, and
crazy.
They're all in the struggle, right? They're all in the struggle. But I guess I liked that it wasn't Justin's dad in jail, right? I feel like that was just a nice change of pace. It was so refreshing. And I also liked that it showed that it's not just black kids who come from struggle bus families. you know? Like,
Like that
anybody
all
can...
the kids, yeah, anybody can go through it, and all the kids have their own issues to deal with. You know, they all have their own fears to overcome, which is such a good thing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have things to work through. It's not, nobody's life was perfect, which I really appreciate it.
Right? And that's part of the reason why I loved Quincy, because he was like truly my favorite character. And I wasn't expecting that, because I really liked the main crew, but Quincy just like connected to me because
Right.
he was so worried about Carla when she went missing, because, you know, Carla's the first one who goes missing, and so they don't know what's happening yet, right? He just knows that his sister got this weird mark on her arm and she was crying about it, and then all of a sudden she's gone. He has no idea where she's gone, and he goes to check the normal places because they're twins, they're close, and he's like, she's not there, and he is like freaking out, paranoid, to the point of, hey, let me go ask them if they've seen her, right?
Yeah.
And I love that he came prepared with the backpack, with her favorite snacks, with her inhaler, with like things that he thought she might need. It was so sweet.
So sweet. Quincy's the best.
And honestly, the moment where they go talk to the boy who saw Z get taken, right?
Yes.
And they find out what's happening, and they start piecing the clues together. When Quincy freaks out, yo, that was me. That was me. I was
so relatable, right?
It's so relatable. He was like, oh snap, I'm gonna get taken, there's nothing we can do about it, y'all don't let me go. What And then when he was like all out of shape on the bike, like, I mean, they were like, ooh, it's just a mile or two away. Yo, Chelsea is not riding 2 miles on a bike, okay? It's not in me. The stamina's not there. I'm be like, Quincy, can we stop? Can we take a break?
Such a mess.
That would be me. I connected to Quincy on like a spiritual level. Quincy was me, he was I. We were the same.
The two of you together.
And also his fear of bugs, homie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fears in the nowhere?
Yeah, I wish we had, well, I guess it's a spoiler, and we said we'd talk about it. I wish that we had seen more for the other kids with their fears, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool they manifested.
It's very cool that they manifested, and I kind of like that it wasn't always there. Like, it's like hide and seek, right? When you're hiding, you don't have to face them. It is only when you've been found and the seeker sees you that you have to face your fear. And I thought that was a really, really nice touch. And, right, so the kids, we have our main crew, right? We already talked about them. They get sucked into the nowhere, right? Quincy has a backpack, and his backpack is taken with him. So they come up with a plan, and they're like, hey, we're going to bring the stuff that we need into the nowhere so that we can get out, right? I felt like that was a really smart plan, because I'm like, if I was 11, I probably wouldn't have noticed that or thought about it. I would have just seen a kid get taken and sucked into literally nothing, and probably just cried my eyes out until it was my turn. I would not have been planning.
Well, I like that they accepted it to an extent. Like, well, I mean, they're not accepting it because they're like, we're going to get out of here. But they're like, okay, this is what it is.
We're going to get taken.
We have to survive it. We're going to get through it. We're going to get out of here.
Yeah. I thought that was very smart and level-headed of them to come up with. And I kind of like that they started getting taken faster and faster after Quincy.
Yeah. It kept things moving. We didn't have to wait a long time.
Yeah.
It was good.
So once Quincy was taken, like, almost immediately Nia was gone. Almost immediately after that, Lyric was gone. And then Justin was there. And what I love about Justin is that he was the last one, so he felt the fear building. He was like, okay, we're all going to get taken. They just took Nia, Lyric is next, and then me, and I don't know when he's going to get taken. So it could be in the middle of the night when I'm asleep. I could be taking a shower. You know, I don't know. It could be anything. So I like that, but the fears, right? I like that Duke, who is there, because Duke is the first one who gets taken to the nowhere, right? He's kid number 1. I like that they get numbered so you know how many kids are in the nowhere. And I like that Duke was the first one, because and I like that as you get to know him, you learn that he wasn't always the way that he is, because he's got the most fears, but that was from him trying to help the other kids who were there, and you can tell that he's done it several times, right?
So sad. That like broke my heart.
Right? Because here's the thing, we know that those kids did not escape from the nowhere. They're still there, and they ditched him. Mm-hmm. So his fears are now their fears, and they're running around without him, right? And he's dealing with it, but I like that his fears are like, I don't want to say normal, right?
Yeah.
But it's like lightning, right? It's being in the dark. It is things like that. But then he's also got like being on fire, and I'm like, that's a very legitimate fear, homie. Like lightning, okay, that's a kid fear. Okay. Being lit on fire, no, that's a very human fear. Okay. I feel like, okay, so my question for you is, who do you think had the scariest fear? Like, whose fear would you were you were like, you know what, I'm not touching you, I don't want it?
Oh, that's a hard question. Okay, this is gonna sound bad. None of their fears really got to me. Maybe because I'm an adult. That sounds so bad. The idea of being taken to the nowhere was the scariest part for me. But I think for Duke, all of his fears like got me the most. I don't know. What about you? That's a good question.
Quincy and Mary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yours make
Because Bugs, homie, no.
She does not like bugs. She cannot handle bugs, not in any capacity.
No, because I know that if I went to the nowhere, my fear that would have manifested would have been spiders.
Spiders.
Yes, and I would have had a mental breakdown before we were able to escape. I would have just had a full ass mental breakdown. Okay,
I'm done.
There's no way. I thought Quincy had the scariest one, but I also feel like Mary had the worst experience.
I can give you that for sure.
Because I understand where her fear came from. 100%. 100%. But I feel like that also tells us a little bit about Mary. Because I'm like, how do you have a kid fall down a well and you not know they're missing for hours?
Can you imagine?
No, I don't want to imagine.
I truly cannot even wrap my mind around it.
I was just like,
hours. Not even like seconds or minutes. Hours.
And she was like, I fell down the well and there were snakes and rats and some of them were still alive and they were hungry. And I like that Lyric was the one to ask, like, okay, look, they're trying to take you somewhere. Where are they taking you? Because like, we're in this together now. I just need to prepare myself for what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. She's like, the well. They're taking me to the well. They're like, whoa. I love how everybody, when she said her fear, they were like, yeah, don't get taken.
Chilling.
Yes. The one that I felt most connected to was Lyric, though. Like, I was like, Quincy and I share a fear, and I thought Mary's fear was wild, but Lyric just like melted my little heart, because his fear truly was, my friends are gonna leave me. And so like, whenever he was in the middle of his fear, he could not see or perceive his friends, even if they were right in front of him. And so he just felt so alone, and I'm like, ooh, that is terrifying.
It really is truly scary. I gotta give credit to Daka Hermon for coming up with fears that were so outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like a clown, or no shade to it, because that is scary. But you know, like, they were fears that like really come from deep in a person.
Mm-hmm.
On top of fears that can seem, you know, like a bug, or you know, like, that's scary. But we really ran the gamut based on each character, like what it felt real to their world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think of all their fears, I feel like Quincy had the most superficial fear.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the spoiler section, so like, Justin was afraid of losing his mom again and feeling like Justin's fear was his guilt, that he could have done something, should have done something, just missing his mom, right? Nia was afraid of getting Alzheimer's because her grandmother has it and she forgets everything, and Nia is just like, I don't want to be that, which is also very relatable, right? Because I'm like, I don't want to lose my mind, right? Like, that is a terrifying thing, and to have to watch somebody lose their mind is like, I can't even imagine, right? Lyric, again, he is afraid of losing his friends because that's all he's got. He's lost his dad. He is lost a lot. And so his friends are the only thing that he can really depend on. So his is not having them around. You know what I find interesting? We never learned what Z's fear was.
We didn't.
So we don't know what he had. No, we did. We did.
We did? What was it?
Heights.
Are you sure?
The roller coaster.
Oh, that's right.
So because him and Justin went to a amusement park and they were on a roller coaster and his safety bar didn't lock. So he was like terrified. I'm like, you know what? Fair. I respect that. I respect that. I wouldn't get on another roller coaster either. Ever.
I'm afraid of heights. So I probably blocked that one out. That's why I didn't remember it. I'm terrified of heights.
I am too. Like, I like roller coasters, but like, you best trust and believe that.
Even like a swing. I'm gonna get off here.
I was the one that I will tell somebody mine doesn't block. I'm like, I ain't hear to click, and they come and tug on it. It's fine. I didn't hear it click. All right. I need to hear it.
Jeez.
You got me all types of messed up if you think I'm about to take this ride and I ain't hear no click. All right.
Oh, talk about it.
But to get to the point, it was really, really good. I loved all the fears. And it was so well written. I love that they were deep-seated fears and not just
put together.
Topical.
Like true human fear.
Yeah. So how did you feel about the whole, like, you don't age in the nowhere, but if you get out, all of your years are forced on you?
Oh, that made me sad. It's like, why even leave? Well, seriously, why leave It's almost like, it kind of reminds me of, here's me with my fairy tale stuff again. But the idea, like, if you step into a fairy circle, which is a ring of mushrooms, you can go into the fairy realm, and there's no guarantee. Like, you can come out and 100 years have passed, or you can come out and 5 minutes have passed. So, like, you have no idea what you're going to see on the other side. And it's like, for this, knowing for sure, if you leave, you could have missed 60 years, and everyone you have ever known and loved is dead, and you still have, like, the mind of a kid with, like, no skills. Like, why would I ever leave? You know what I mean? Like, leave right now or stay forever. So that was scary. Oh my God, dang. Give these kids a break.
Give them a break, because I was like, that's like you said, like, would it be better to just stay here? Because some of the kids were like, yo, I got taken, like, they're wearing psychedelic shirts and bell bottoms, and they're like, yo, y'all were taken in the 70s. And I also had to remember that it's not just 30 years anymore. No, this is 50 years ago. We're in 2020. That's 50 years from the 70s.
So I mean, you could leave and just die. You fall down dead.
And that's where Duke was at, because he was like, yo, I have been in here for like 70 years.
I'm number one. I'm not leaving. I'm truly not leaving.
So
it's a nightmare.
He's like, if I come out, and here's the thing, I also like Hyde mentioned that the longer you're gone, the stress of forcing your body into that form is enough to kill you. Because he was a teenager, and he was like, he could have died, right? Yeah. And that was only like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it wasn't super long. Like you said, he became a teenager.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I just have to give her props for I love the world building and little things like that make it truly chilling.
Yes. I love that all of the choices are heavy. None of them are easy. Like, from the very beginning, do we go see Z or not? He's crazy. Or and I'm like summing it up, but like truly, like, they're afraid to see him at this point. You know? And do we stay at this party or do we leave? Because clearly there are people here who shouldn't be, right? Or you know, there's so many choices, and none of them really, there's no right answer to any of them. It's just kind of like, what would you do in that situation, right? And I kind of love that Justin was the only one who truly trusted Z and what he was saying, and was like, hey, like, it doesn't really make sense, but with all that's going on, it's starting to make a little bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And was willing to see it that way.
Absolutely.
But let's just say that, like, at this point, we're going to go back to talking non-spoilers so that we can talk about what things that we thought could have been better in the book.
Sure.
And then I'll put another marker here, and we can do that.
Okay.
All right, so if you guys are still watching, this part going forward to the end, we are just talking about the things that were maybe not so great in the book, just in case you wanted to know what you're getting yourself into. We will no longer be talking heavy spoilers for the book, so feel free to consider this a safe zone. So there were really only two things that I didn't care for in the book, and they weren't really plot related or developmental related.
Okay.
The first thing that got me, and it could just be like a regional thing, when they play the game hide and seek, it's on the back of the book. There's the phrase, I went up the hill was muddy, stomped my toe and made it bloody. Should I wash it?
Never heard that before.
Never heard that before I read this book.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't familiar with that, so I don't think it's regional. I wonder, did she invent it for the book?
I don't know. And she's from Tennessee, so that could just be something that they do in Tennessee, or that could be something that she, did growing up. I don't know. I was always like, count to like 10 or count to 100 and go hide. But the way they play it in the book is they say this phrase and they shout it, and basically you respond yes. And by saying that means you have not found your hiding spot yet. And basically you keep the seeker hides their eyes, and they keep saying it until there's no response. Mm-hmm. And then that's when the game starts.
I never heard that. We always just like counted to 100, and then we'd say like ollie ollie oxen free, or
ready or not, here I come.
Here I come. Yep.
Yeah.
That was how we did it. I mean, this was interesting. I just never heard it before. It sounds very like colloquial and old fashioned, because it doesn't make a lick of sense. Probably has something to do with like the plague.
Like,
it's always tied back to the plague.
So I was just like, should I wash it? Probably, unless you wanted to get infected, but hey, I mean, choices. So that was something that I had to adjust to. I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. It was just something that I was going into it. I wasn't prepared for it, especially since the cover says ready or not, here it comes. I was expecting to see some version of that in the book.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I didn't like, and this isn't really spoilery, I just didn't care for how the problem of being taken was resolved to the fullest extent. Because, again, this is something that comes from the back of the book. When the kids are taken, they have to face their fears. So basically, towards the end of the book, to resolve it, right, I felt like only the main character really had to take on the biggest responsibility, and I would have liked to see the other characters play a larger role in that.
I think it would have either been better to have it only be Justin and like maybe 2 or 3 others, or that way they could all resolve it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we didn't have time.
Yeah.
I would agree with that for sure.
I would like to see the core group at least.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the fears in the spoiler section. Not going to go over those, but for the kids who were already in the nowhere, I would have really liked. Like, I wasn't so much concerned for them versus the ones who got taken to the nowhere. That's
who we've bonded with, or become attached to.
Yeah, because I feel like their fears, like I said, some of them had deep fears, some of them had superficial ones, but I would have liked the ones with the deeper fears have to actually resolve that. But yeah, that's all I can really say about without spoiling it.
I know it's hard. I really didn't have many complaints for this book.
This is definitely 5-star read for me.
Yeah, I truly enjoyed it. I had to struggle to even come up with things that I
didn't like.
Yeah, or I wouldn't even say dislikes. I think I was drawn to each character. I think if I had to say something, I would say maybe like I already kind of touched on, have fewer of the gang go into the nowhere, so we could get, or they meet fewer. Well, try not to go into spoilers, but there's maybe less to deal with when they go to the nowhere that we already know exists because of the back of the book.
Yeah.
That would probably be my only change. I really felt connected to each character, though. It was really well done.
For sure.
Very pleased with the read.
So that being said, the end of the book is there could possibly be a sequel. It hasn't been announced, but
yes,
the way it ends, there could possibly be a sequel to the book.
Yeah,
I personally would love to see it.
Same. It's left open in a great way. I'm really trying hard not to spoil anything, but it's definitely left open.
Yeah, but I will say this: it's not like you don't feel satisfied with the ending. So if that's something that you're worried about, I would not worry about it. I would just say that there is the possibility for the door to be opened again. Let me say it like that.
I would say this story is told.
Yes.
This specific story with this specific group of kids.
Absolutely. That being said, I think we are probably going to wrap it up here because we're coming up on an hour. Do want to let you guys know that the author of this book, Daka Hermon, she will be featured on the Melanin Inc. website coming up. So keep an eye out for that. I will leave a link to it down in the description box below so you can check out the magazine. If you want updates on it, you can always sign up for our mailing list so that you can get those updates in your inbox so you know when to check back if you're interested in it. I will also leave a link to the book itself so that you can purchase it. It is an affiliate link, which means if you purchase the book using that link, you're supporting Daka Hermon, but you're also supporting WrittenNMelanin. And yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching it, for being a part of it, for watching our review of Hide and Seeker. I highly recommend that you go get it, read it, gift it to a child or kid or anybody that you love who enjoys reading. And that's it. So if you like this video, tap the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications. And then you're going to want to go and do the same thing for Case because she is awesome and we love her. There is a link to do that in the description box below. If you enjoy supporting Black authors, then consider joining our Patreon. We do have what we call the after chat, which is the chat after the Melanin Chat, where we go and we talk a little bit more candidly and we get a little honest with you guys, and everything from the Patreon goes to supporting Black authors because that is what we are all about. And yeah, that is it for the intro. We appreciate you guys so much for being here, for watching, for coming, for participating, even though you didn't participate because this is not a live chat and it's pre-recorded, but in the future, for watching. Thank you. And
all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's it for the video. So until next time, you guys, we hope your days are lovely and your books are interesting. Bye.